This is a sport infested with psychopathic behavior. They're ready to go. They're all in on that type of baseball. So what happens? The trickle down or trickle up effect of this, Hutton, is college baseball not being the best there is, because Major League Baseball is better. They need their gimmick.
There's a showmanship to it that is beyond what we're seeing in the majors, that is going to reach the majors. It is going to piss a lot of former players off. Like, is WWE going back to WWF? And what I mean is, are we seeing maybe a bit of rewind when it comes to the Attitude Era and Austin 316s as I just whipped your ass?
Hutton, I would like to begin by defining the word psychopath.
Okay.
And this is as defined by Webster's dictionary. A psychopath is a person affected by chronic mental disorder with abnormal or violent social behavior. Also known as an unstable or aggressive person. This is the perfect word to describe college baseball in 2025, and really college baseball for the last 4 to 5 years. This is a sport infested with psychopathic behavior in all turns. It is unbelievable to watch. The same stuff that Jonathan Hutton and I used to watch and love in the 90s in the Attitude Era, with Vince McMahon strutting out, with The Rock laying the smackdown on people, with Stone Cold Steve Austin knocking somebody unconscious and then pouring a beer on himself. This is college baseball of 2025, right? It's entertaining. There's no doubt about it. It's a soap opera in every game.
Who's Vince?
There's shit talk back and forth between dugouts. There's going ballistic on not just umpires, but the officials on site of the NCAA. Kevin O'Sullivan had to issue an apology and got reamed out by Coastal Carolina's coach in a press conference.
That's funny.
Because he's bitching at the young guy who backed the game up for an hour, who's simply a representative of the NCAA.
Kevin O'Sullivan? There's a Kevin Sullivan in WWF from back in the day.
I didn't even know that.
That's amazing.
That is pretty incredible.
Working for Vince. Go figure.
Look, I mean, it's...
you're right.
It's a wild, wild sport. And we're going to get into all the facets of this, okay? But I really think, Hutton, what we're seeing, this WWE Attitude Era of college baseball, it's their gimmick. When you're not the top sport, you're not the top thing in the game. Like Major League Baseball, we all know these are the best players in the world. They play with wooden bats. These teams go back to the mid-1800s, late 1800s. The sport has a ton of history. College baseball doesn't really have that history that Major League Baseball does. They don't have the markets. They don't have the gigantic fan bases, although those fan bases are getting bigger at some of the bigger schools. They don't have all of that on their side. Minor League Baseball never had any of that on their side. They had a bunch of guys that were either too young and not talented enough to make the majors, or guys that were past their prime that had a cup of coffee in the majors that were hanging on to try to get paid to play a little bit of baseball as long as they could. So what did minor league baseball do? Well, they had dollar beer night. They had WWE Attitude Era night. They have Star Wars night. They have any type of gimmick to get you involved and get you to the game. The Savannah Bananas is that idea on steroids, and it's been wildly successful. Savannah Bananas baseball and that style, it is spreading out across the sport. I see it at local travel ball tournaments with some of the behavior and celebrations and things that I see. Hell, I see it in the jerseys. A lot of travel baseball teams wear Savannah Bananas gear. They have Savannah Bananas bats. They have helmets. They're ready to go. They're all in on that type of baseball. So what happens? The trickle down or trickle up effect of this, Hutton, is college baseball not being the best there is, because Major League Baseball is better. They need their gimmick. So what's their gimmick? A bunch of sweaty dudes that wear their jerseys with one button just over the navel, that when they get a walk, they take their arm guard off, they slam it to the ground, they slam bats, they sprint off the mound after a strikeout straight into the tunnel, they MF opposing coaches, they MF the batter when they strike them out, the batter MFs the pitcher when he hits a home run. This is the gimmick of the sport. And I'm here to say I'm here for it because it is wildly entertaining to watch.
There's an arrogance that continues to grow with it. The thing that just really, anytime I'm watching college baseball, and I don't watch a ton of it, but when I do, I see there is a growing realization that is going to come back to haunt some teams, especially running the bases. Guys are more apt to turn around and want to celebrate or make some hand gesture to their dugout when they hit a double instead of not seeing that the ball is bobbled in the outfield and they could turn that into a triple. They're already turning around, referencing the dugout or referencing the pitcher or referencing the opposing team. I don't get that. Is this, so I've thought about this, Chad. Is this just the younger coaches making their way into college baseball and taking over we'll just use the attitude, their era, and allowing this to go down? Or is this just Tony Vitello building his championship run through this arrogance, through this hostility and this bravado and this, call us the villain, we're here for it, mental, state? Is it that, and then seeing that it worked, so you want to have a bit of that same testosterone level with your team? Or is it just a bunch of, I don't know what the word is, snobby, snot-nosed kids that are coming up through the high school ranks that, think they're the coolest kid in class and they have to celebrate everything? I think it's a combination of some of this. But if we're seeing this from both sides, it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And I mean, here's the other part of it. This is going to lead to the majors. Like, this is, we've seen how college football changed the way NFL plays the game.
Yeah, Ronald Acuna Jr. is a good example of he's that way. He's a college baseball player and playing in the majors with the way he shows up opponents and loafs at times. He's been pulled from
Guerrero
games
Jr. with the bat flips and things. But beyond that, I mean, there's a showmanship to it that is beyond what we're seeing in the majors, that is going to reach the majors. And it's going to piss a lot of former players off, like Chipper Jones.
It's going to piss a lot of people off for sure. It's not just so let's go back to Tony Vitello in Tennessee, right? They're the classic example that everyone's going to bring up. If you post anything, and I do, about Tennessee baseball, they're classless. I can't wait to see this clown get his ass handed to him, and they're arrogant and yada, yada, yada. It's all true. He's a psycho. Like, I think he's a little bit borderline psychopath on the baseball field and with the way he coaches the team. But Tony Vitello wasn't like this as a player at Missouri. He didn't play this style of baseball growing up where you showed up the opponent or did any of those things. I think he's simply someone who's okay with his team and his players being themselves.
Yeah.
So those types of psychos are attracted to another psycho, and they go and play baseball at Tennessee. I'm not saying this like he's a bad guy. Tennessee's got a lot of good guys that have done good things in the community. They graduate. They do all these good things well. I think Tony Vitello's a really good guy.
And they win.
We've had him on the show. I love the guy.
Yeah.
I love watching him coach.
Too.
He coaches with an edge.
Tony V.
That's not unlike a lot of the great coaches in any sport across the board.
And I like Tim Corbin the same way I like Tony V.
Absolutely. Very different guys.
Very opposite ends of the
also
spectrum.
equally as competitive.
And successful.
Equally as competitive.
Both have had top of the mountain success.
Absolutely. So it's more of these coaches, not even the younger coaches. Corbin is way more old school, but watch some of Corbin's guys yell at opponents and do things now. Like, it's the generation of player that's coming through, and now you've got a bunch of coaches that are okay with accepting it.
I see coaches, though, get into it with players more than I see player versus player whenever I'm watching highlights or I see something on social. I said, like, it's almost like the parent living through the kid. This is like, the coach mouthing off to the player. When if the player's, showing up another opponent at second base, normally, or if there's a hard tag or something, I see the opponent look to the dugout for a replay more than I look at the player who just, like, smacked him in the face with a glove. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there's more trash talk, I think, from dugout to player than there is within the base pass. Now, you're watching it more than I am. I see more of the friction from dugout to dugout.
Well, so let's go with the two different perspectives. We talked about the young perspective, the players today, the way they behave and act is appalling to the older generation. Older generation being someone like Chipper Jones, who posted this about what he sees in college baseball. Spent quite a bit of time watching college baseball this weekend. I will only watch a select few teams from here on out. Reason, they have coaches that respect the game and their opponents and demand the same of their players. Any team that doesn't wear the uni correctly, taunts the other team, and has a coach that condones this behavior is a disgrace to the game. Big fan of Coach Schnall at Coastal Carolina. Him and his team represent what college baseball should be like. Well done, sir. You stand for proper behavior. I think Tim Corbin will be another guy that probably Chipper Jones agrees with in that style. And I go back to the 90s. I remember watching College World Series games at the old Rosenblatt Stadium in Omaha. And I remember one of those LSU teams that won it, maybe 97, I think they won it all. Every single guy on the team, when they walked, they would just lay the bat down and sprint to first. And I remember that was cool because I'm like, man, these college kids hustle. They try. You walk to first in the majors, but when you're a college kid and you're playing for the love of the game, nothing like you get to that bag and you sprint the whole way through. And I'm like, man, that's what I aspire to do. Yeah. That's what I aspire to play like. And now I'm thinking of that versus the college game of today where you hit a high fly ball and automatically assume it's out and turn to your dugout to scream obscenities, to do the Joe Boo, Pedro Serrano, Major League 2, I've got bigger balls than you dance all the way around the bases. I mean, and it's just common. I'm like, man, this is psycho behavior that is now totally commonplace.
You had the base runner who did a line off of third base.
That was nuts. And he had apologized
but I'm saying, like, what's next?
I mean, how far can you go? What's great is
I love your and he had to apologize for that.
Yeah, and he had to apologize for that one.
He was drug tested randomly.
But what's crazy is when you look at all the bitching and moaning from baseball fans that are hardcore, older, old school baseball fans, which I'm fine with that, by the way. Sure. And being an old school fan of anything is great. You need some of that. But they always they want to pounce on Tennessee and Tony Vitello. Like, this is the example. These guys are awful. And I'm thinking Wake Forest, a small, private Christian school who's coached by Tom Walter, who's had a ton of success at Wake Forest, called a Tennessee player on camera an effing homophobic slur. On camera. For everyone to see. So clear on the lip reading, could not even deny what it was he was saying, was forced to issue an apology. Jamel Hill did not say, I'm thinking maybe 7 years ago, this guy's fired immediately.
More than that. I mean,
Kobe Bryant, remember when the whole thing was
7 years ago.
He was saying it to a ref or something?
Yeah, in Denver.
Oh, that's right.
And Marty Brenneman.
Yes, you're right. Marty Brenneman, Tom's father. Yeah.
Was it Tom or
No, it was
Marty?
Tom. It was Tom. Tom. Marty's the dad.
Sorry, Marty.
Tom the son. Sorry, Marty. Marty never got canned. Yeah. Never got canceled.
I mean, he had to apologize for the remainder of the game.
But meanwhile, they just issue a joint statement with John Curry, who's the AD at Wake Forest. I condone this behavior. And then the coach saying, I regret in an outburst.
Now think about if it's...
Which was hilarious, by the way, because the Tennessee player promptly on the next pitch hit a 2-run bomb after being called out, which was just great timing.
Now imagine if it's college football or the NFL when that takes place. You know what I mean?
It would be such a bigger story, but I do think...
Oh, it would be.
And I am a recent college baseball convert. Famously, I didn't really care for a long time. I do enjoy watching it now just for the sheer entertainment of, first off, every pitcher in college baseball now throws over 95, I feel like, which is nuts. Like Murray State, their pitcher's throwing over... Like everyone throws so hard. It's incredible.
They have 2 pitches, basically?
But the attitude of it, the... swag, if you want to call it that. But the fact that, like, at Ole Miss, they play this song and, like, everyone in the stands, every guy takes their shirt off and starts jumping up and down. There's just a bunch of, like, 12-year-old kids
that
are doing it, like, pouring drinks on them. And the players are doing it.
If you don't do it.
The entire team, like, they're showing their entire chest. They're not. That is one thing I agree with Chipper Jones about. I hate the disregard for how to wear a uniform.
Yeah.
Like, that's one thing that I'm like, come on, guys. Like, one button off, maybe. But when you go down to your belly button with the shirt, it's ridiculous. You look ridiculous.
The Florida State pitcher did what with Mississippi State?
Florida State pitcher Wes Mendez called a Mississippi State player, quote, an inbred bitch on camera after striking him out. And Florida State,
WWE.
Florida State, I believe, got fined $25,000. The school did. For that behavior, and also something the coach said during the game. But, Hutton, what surprises me is that I'm not surprised by any of this when you watch the game.
I mean, it's
how crazy it is.
I think it also, if you were to stand on the sidelines of an SEC game or the NFL game, you would hear this stuff. I mean, I've heard this trash talk. I mean, you just have the helmet covers your face. In baseball, it's just a slow, methodical game. The drama builds, the tension builds, and then, the top pops off. So I think, hey, but get ready for Chipper Jones and everyone else. Get ready. We haven't seen anything yet. This is coming to the majors.
Also, what should the NCAA do about it? Like, what should the governing body do? Here's my argument. Nothing.
Well,
I think it's added viewership. I think it makes the game unique. I believe this is your gimmick. Like, you got to do something to not let it get so out of hand that you're going to have bench clearing brawls all the time.
You can't then penalize an SEC football player for celebrating too much in the end zone.
No, I agree.
You see what I'm saying?
Now, every sport is different, and I'm with you on that. You can't go overboard with the other sports if you're going to allow everything in one. But even college baseball, there's all these home run celebrations where Tennessee wears a fur cape and puts a daddy hat on. Like, everyone's got something
That's
they
good.
do, okay?
Yeah.
But a year ago, they cracked down on that where you couldn't do it on the field. You couldn't hand anyone on the
field. You
field.
had to do it in the dugout.
Duke had a player that had his previous home run hat on that came out of the dugout and with the next batter to celebrate and still had it on. Umpire saw him, ejected him. He's now suspended. Now, they're appealing, but he's suspended for the first super regional game.
Well, we're seeing
because that's so
we're
they're
seeing
trying to
ejections
cut out some of it
based on slurs, words, whatever, as well from umpires.
They're
right?
trying to cut out some of the issues. Tennessee had a player ejected the other night in Cannon Peebles, their catcher, because he swore at the catcher on his way off the field.
And then the umpire took it in his own.
The umpire threw him out.
Authority.
I'm fine with it, honestly. Like, that's one that if you get caught, even if you're the second guy, and you're looking back and screaming something at another player, and you're looking right at the umpire when you do it because the umpire, by the way, happens to be right behind the catcher that you're screaming at, then something might happen.
Wes Rucker said that NCAA allowed me exactly one question to home plate umpire Casey Moser. In a big game with lots of chirping from both teams, what did Cannon Peebles do that was different enough to merit an ejection? Answer was unsportsmanlike behavior towards the opposing catcher. Unsportsmanlike behavior was the quote.
Yeah, I mean,
that was one question. He's allowed one question to the umpire. I think we have that.
I get the argument that you either call everything or nothing. Right, if you're going to let everything else that went on in that game or these games go, how are you going to throw one guy out? I would also argue it's the top of the ninth inning or the bottom of the eighth in a 6-run game.
And
just let it go.
What do you think's going to happen?
Like, the dude can say whatever he wants. You can go yell scoreboard at him in 3 outs.
Yes.
And not get yourself suspended for the Super Regional in the next game.
Now the scoreboard is the SEC. 9 of the 13 are out. Tennessee, Arkansas is going to be good.
And, one will eliminate the other in that series. That's Tennessee, Arkansas.
But what's interesting is everyone's crapping all over the SEC. And it's like, well, the winner of that series is probably the favorite in Omaha, right?
Probably North Carolina.
Okay.
I think who's a higher seed maybe would be the one.
Just
that
based off that
really
matchup,
good.
though, from what I'm reading, it looks like everybody's going to be on top of whatever team comes out of this.
Arkansas, yes, will be under consideration. They're the number 3
and
national seed.
There's no pressure on Tennessee.
The number 1 national seed is out in Vandy.
And 2, right? Texas?
It was Texas 2 or
Texas
was North Carolina?
2, I think.
Okay, so then, it would. I mean, if Arkansas wins, definitely. Tennessee would be the team if they win and get in. It's like, uh-oh.
Here they come.
They're hot
again.
They
woke up again.
They woke up at the right time, and they're the defending national champion. So they'll be a favorite also. But
Chad, going back to your WWE reference, if you like the baby face instead of the heel, you say that there's UTSA, so Texas San Antonio. You have Murray State, Coastal Carolina, which Chipper's shouting out.
Yeah, that's the one Chipper wants to win.
There you go.
Chipper also a big fan of Myrtle Beach. Looks like a guy who loves the Myrtle Beach scene.
The Merman?
Much like the Merman, much like Jason Sudeikis, Shane.
Oh, the Merman.
Shane and Kenny Powers.
Shane, oh. Yes.
I feel like Chipper is a guy who loves the trip to Myrtle Beach, so he's all in on
And you know who talked trash?
Conway,
the Myrtle
South Carolina's
Beach Merman talked trash.
Yeah.
Catcher included.
Yeah.
And
Kenny
pitcher.
Powers was ahead of the game. He would have been a college baseball star. I'm sure Kenny Powers went straight from high school to pros,
Kenny
but
Powers
he would have been a college baseball star.
Returns as the manager now. He would fit right in.
Danny McBride has to watch. Like, he's from North Carolina, So when he sees the Wake Forest, well, he lives in Charleston, South Carolina now.
Okay.
He's from Virginia, and he went to school in North Carolina. But all of his stories are either in Charleston or North Carolina. But when he's watching the coach of the private Christian school call someone an effing homophobic slur, you know that is fodder for his next season of television. Like, this is crazier than Righteous Gemstones and crazier than Eastbound and Down, and we're witnessing it
I will watch this
on television in reality.
Here he is.
I think Danny McBride finds all of this hilarious. Probably a huge college baseball fan now.
He's what was it? He's effing in, I'm effing out. What was it?
You're effing out.
You're effing out.
That was his strikeout, which now is common.
I don't know. Depends.
That's just like Duke's fourth starter. Probably yells at it every.
Were you driving?
Every guy.
Were you driving?
I got priors.
I got priors, so I'll see you at school. Coming up. By the way, if you enjoy the show, we hope you'll like, comment, and subscribe to the OutKick YouTube channel.
If you enjoy Eastbound and Down, we hope you also enjoy our show.
Yeah.
And vice versa. We want a Venn diagram of people who like Eastbound and Down with people who like this show.
You can always connect Danny McBride to the show somehow.
If you like Danny McBride, you're cool with us. Because that guy's hilarious.
Like our Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
We can somehow connect it back to
6 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon. Is that the game?
Is it 7 or 6?
I don't know. It's been a long time since I played. It's probably college the last time I played that game.
Yeah. Well, we do that with
figure it out during
Mr.
the break.
Powers. Mr. Powers. Try to figure this out during the break. How many players in NBA history would you take on the defensive side of the floor over Draymond Green? And then he'll answer that question. That's next here on Hot Mic.